When it comes to festive traditions, there are few characters as globally beloved as Santa, Santa Claus, and Dead Moritz, Russia's own grandfather Frost. Both are harbingers of holiday joy, their origins, traditions, even the logistics of their residency differ in ways that are as fascinating as they are festive. Santa Claus, with his crimson suit, his reindeer sleigh, is a symbol of commercialized Christmas cheer. Residing at the North Pole, he's a singular figure tied to global mythology. I was asked to be Santa on one or two occasions, and the first time I think it ever happened, I was living in Greece, and I was duly dressed up as Santa, and I was whisked into a hall, and there were lots of small children there, and they all came up for their presents. And I thought my Greek was good enough, but I hadn't quite anticipated the speed with which small children chatter, and I sort of managed it quite well, I think. I was quite pleased with myself, but it was terrifying. And I remember one little boy came up to me and asked me lots of questions and wanted various things and had got a very precise Christmas list. And I was I was very indulgent, really. And afterwards, he ran off to his mother and he said, "Mama, why does Santa have such a strange accent?" And she said, "Oh, well, because he's from the North Pole," which I thought summed it up rather well. In Greece, he's often called Saint Vasilis rather than Saint Nicholas, and but it is still nevertheless the same figure. In Russia, it is a slightly different figure and much linked to the New Year, which, of course, in the Russian calendar, in the old Russian calendar, would have preceded the feast of Christmas. And according to the Orthodox calendar, the Julian calendar. And Santa, his gift-giving escapades spanning continents in one magical night, powered by flying reindeer and the dreams of children, led perhaps by Rudolph, this invention of the sort of commercial invention, which spawned a little poem which was written in the same meter as The Night Before Christmas. And Santa has become a corporate emblem as much as a cultural figure. Companies like Father Christmas Limited manage his trademarked persona, further enhancing him as a commercial icon, entrenching him in Western capitalism, and Coca-Cola, of course. But this consolidation also makes him vulnerable to criticism. As a global figure, he's often accused of overshadowing local traditions, including Russia's Grandfather Frost. Grandfather Frost, by contrast, is not confined to a single residence. He has 5 official homes across Russia. His official residence, offering year-round activities from craft workshops to New Year's spectacles in the Volga region, and children and families alike can immerse themselves in Grandfather Frost's magical world, complete with a post office for sending wishes directly to the snowy patriarch. In Moscow, just outside the Russian capital, he has a pied-à-terre, which features a path of fairy tales with sculptures of folklore characters and interactive programs like the In Search of Desire, where children can help a snowman find their heart's wish. In the St. Petersburg region, there's a park, Zubrovnik Park, where he has a home, which combines the charm of snowy forests with the excitement of sleigh rides and farm tours, and offers specific programs. In the Republic of Karelia, there's an area where he's got husky sled rides and reindeer farms and lessons in tradition Karelian customs. And in Sharkan, he puts on a lavender robe symbolizing wealth and prosperity. and visitors experience local traditions, including national dishes, folk games, outdoor activities like riding snowmobiles. Is it called a snowmobile? Snowmobile. Snowmobile. That's it. Snowmobile. Snowmobile sounds like something you would stick on the roof. A snowmobile, and for families, Grandfather Frost's homes offer a deeper hands-on connection to Russian holiday traditions, from sleigh rides through snowy forests to interactive quests with fairy tale characters. And these experiences blend myth, culture, celebration, and nationalism. They're two sides, Santa and Grandfather Frost, two sides of the same festive coin, one steeped in Western commercialism, the other in the cultural heritage of Russian tradition, and both bring joy, but Grandfather Frost's multiple homes and rootedness in regional identity make him a unique guardian of holiday magic. Whether you're sending a letter to Santa or visiting Grandfather Frost in one of his many enchanting homes, these figures remind us that the spirit of the holidays transcends borders, or so we would have thought. But I'm afraid that is not entirely true, because Santa Claus, there's a man called Vitaly Borodin, has petitioned the Prosecutor General's office in Moscow to recognize that Santa Claus is a foreign agent because of his popularity in unfriendly countries, according to some pro-government TV channels. And Borodin argues that Santa Claus replaces the image of the traditional Father Frost, and Santa Claus, he says, is used by many foreign commercial companies, and he claims that the brand is valued at $1.6 trillion and warns of a high likelihood that foreign companies might fund the image of Santa in Russia to undermine traditional Russian values. Vitaly Borodin frequently files complaints with various state agencies against cultural figures, and most of them are living. But he also seeks out foreign agents among public figures, and seems to delight in taking cases through the courts to establish that that much loved public figures in Russia are in fact foreigners. And so far, I don't think he's been that successful. In fact, Danila Kozlovsky won a defamation lawsuit against him when he tried to claim that Danila was the actor Danila Kozlovsky was a foreign agent. So it's quite disturbing to be branded as a foreign agent, I think, in Russia, particularly if you are in fact Russian. That removes the ground from under your feet, literally. I have a few friends who have been awarded this sobriquet, and I think it must be very painful. And they have left Russia and continue working. Most of them are working in the arts, and it's difficult because it's impossible not to criticize the invasion of Ukraine by Putin's organization, by the Kremlin. But at the same time, it's important to recognize that Russia is much bigger than Putin, and there are many people across Russia who are waiting for this special military operation to stop. And but they cannot speak out, because if they do, they will find themselves in prison. They will be silenced. And that is the reality. And there are some useful idiots in other countries, of course, who support the Putin operation, but for the most part there's a very, very aggressive and effective propaganda machine that uses remarkably good English, and sows discord, so that we think, well, this is what we hear from the Western side, so let's hear from the Russian side. Let's have some sort of parity. But there isn't parity when somebody is a murderer and a thug. You have to recognize that the action of invading another country is the action of a thug and a scoundrel, a bounder. And they shouldn't really be given the time of day to explain what they've done, because what they've done is unforgivable. They have to leave. They have to withdraw, because it is wrong for one nation to invade another nation on whatever pretext. And the stories about the Russian-speaking minorities in the Donbass are simply invented. They are a false flag. And yes, indeed, if Ukrainians fought against the paramilitaries that came into the Donbass, that's I think perfectly reasonable. But the fact that there was fighting doesn't justify an invasion. The fact that Ukrainians rose up against the paramilitaries doesn't justify an invasion. The fact that the new Ukrainian president wanted to rescind the Minsk agreements doesn't justify an invasion. The fact that Putin wanted to re-establish a Novorussia, this greater vision of the ancient Russian state, which never really existed, doesn't justify an invasion. Somebody's fantasy does not need to be brought into reality. If somebody is so obsessed with fantasy, possibly they need to go to a hospital, or at least spend a little bit more time in the fridge. But at some point, the winter will thaw, as it does in Narnia. At some point, the Ice Maiden her power will stop, because Putin is not Father Frost. He's not Grandfather Frost. He's the Snow Queen on a bad day, and he needs to be pulled from the fridge at some point, and his power needs to stop. The absurdity that the people like Borodin can actually think that there is mileage in declaring Santa to be a foreign agent tells you just how mad and how absurd are the supporters of Putin, who want to be rewarded for their outrageous nationalism, because that's in the end all it is. It's outrageous nationalism and thuggery.